Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Full wedding video of Boat and Oat. The beginning of forever, Boat and Oat's wedding day ring. The world has waited, dreamed, and imagined this moment for years, and finally, it happened. Today marks the first chapter of a story that will forever be etched into the hearts of millions. The wedding of Boat and Oat, a love that has survived heartbreak, trials, and the unthinkable, now celebrated in unparalleled splendor, emotion, and magic. Sunrise the morning of the big day. The sun rose slowly over the city, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. Birds seemed to chirp in harmony as if the entire world knew something extraordinary was about to unfold. Inside a luxurious bridal suite, Oat was glowing. His eyes sparkled with anticipation, excitement, and just a hint of nervousness. He adjusted his outfit, a custom-made ensemble that shimmered subtly, catching every ray of sunlight. Meanwhile, Boat was in another suite, pacing nervously, rehearsing vows, and taking deep breaths. His heart raced not from anxiety alone, but from the overwhelming emotion of finally marrying the person who had stood by him through every storm. The air buzzed with anticipation. Today isn't just a wedding, Boat whispered to himself. It's our forever. Cherry blossom guests arrive from around the globe. As the hours passed, guests began arriving. Friends, family, and fans who had been part of Boat and Oat's journey were flown in from over 50 countries. The red carpet was lined with photographers, reporters, and fans eager for a glimpse of the historic day. Social media exploded the moment the first photos appeared, with hashtags like #BoatandOatForever, #TheWeddingOfTheCentury, and #TearsOfJoy trending globally. Celebrities, influencers, and even notable dignitaries were present, all drawn by the love story that had captured the hearts of millions. Every eye was fixed on the venue, which had been transformed into a fairy-tale wonderland, cascading flowers, sparkling lights, and decorations that seemed to float like clouds. Bouquet. The ceremony begins. The music started softly, a string quartet playing the opening notes as Oat stepped forward, eyes glistening with tears. The guests rose, murmurs of admiration filling the air. Every step he took seemed to make time slow down. Boat appeared at the end of the aisle, his breath catching as he saw Oat. For a moment, it seemed like the world had paused. Everyone watching could feel the electricity of their love, the culmination of years of friendship, loyalty, and unbreakable bond. "This is it," one guest whispered. "This is history in the making." The officiant, a close friend of the couple, began the ceremony with words that made even the most stoic attendees weep. "Today, we celebrate a love that has faced storms, tears, and trials, and yet stands unshakable. Boat and Oat are proof that true love endures everything." Glowing star. The vows. Boat's voice shook as he began. "Oat, from the moment you entered my life, I knew my world had changed. Today, I promise to love you, to stand by you, to laugh with you, and to hold your hand through every storm, forever." Tears streamed down Oat's face as he responded. "Boat, you are my anchor, my heart, and my home. I promise to walk this journey with you, hand in hand, for all our days, no matter what comes." The room was silent except for soft sniffles and the gentle sound of hands clapping together in support. Even the cameras couldn't capture the raw emotion filling the air. Revolving hearts, rings, and the first kiss. When the rings were exchanged, a collective gasp spread through the audience. Each ring was custom designed, with inscriptions only the couple could read, a secret testament to their journey. Finally, the officiant spoke the words every fan had been waiting for. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you partners for life. You may kiss." Boat leaned in slowly, and when their lips met, the audience erupted into applause, tears streaming down faces. The kiss wasn't just symbolic, it was a culmination of years of love, trials, and shared dreams, captured forever in photos and hearts alike. Cherry blossom. The celebration begins. After the ceremony, confetti rained down like sparkling snow, and the couple walked hand in hand through a tunnel of cheering guests. Cameras flashed, drones hovered, and live streams broadcast the historic moment to millions around the globe. Fans watched, wept, and celebrated in real time, as Boat and Oat shared the first magical moments of their married life together. "It's perfect," Oat whispered, resting his head against Boat's shoulder. "It's us," Boat replied. "Forever." The moment Boat and Oat stepped into the reception hall, gasps of awe echoed throughout the venue. The room was a masterpiece of elegance and whimsy. Hundreds of thousands of flowers adorned every surface, chandeliers shimmered like constellations, and golden candles flickered softly, casting a warm glow across the sea of guests. Every detail seemed crafted not just for beauty, but to reflect the story of a love that had conquered every storm. Guests rose from their seats as the couple entered, a standing ovation cascading like waves. Some could barely contain their tears, while others raised their phones to capture the historic moment. Fans tuning in from across the globe flooded social media with live reactions. Emojis of hearts, tears, and sparkling confetti littered every platform. Hashtags celebrating Boat and Oat's wedding instantly trended worldwide. Boat took Oat's hand and led him to the center of the dance floor. The music began softly, a hauntingly beautiful violin solo that seemed to echo the journey they had shared. With eyes locked, they danced slowly, every movement filled with intention and emotion. In that moment, it felt as though time had paused, leaving only their love visible to the world. Between dances, heartfelt speeches began. Friends and family rose, one after another, recounting stories of the couple's unwavering devotion, courage, and kindness. A childhood friend spoke through tears. "I've known them since they were kids. I've watched their friendship grow, turn into love, and withstand storms that would have broken anyone else. Today, seeing them together, I feel as if the world itself is brighter." Even celebrities and notable figures who had come from far and wide were moved beyond words. One international star wiped tears away as they described witnessing Boat and Oat's journey from the very beginning, calling them a beacon of hope, love, and resilience for the entire world. The dinner service began, an exquisite array of dishes curated from 5 continents, honoring both the couple's tastes and their global fanbase. Yet even amid the lavish feast, the energy never waned. Guests whispered to one another, marveling at how the wedding felt intimate despite its grandeur, a celebration of both love and the lives Boat and Oat had touched. Surprises continued to unfold. A troupe of performers emerged, presenting a dramatic, choreographed interpretation of Boat and Oat's journey from childhood friendship to the trials they had endured, culminating in the joyous moment of their union. The performance was met with thunderous applause, many wiping away tears as they saw the story they had followed for years brought to life on stage. Even fans at home were not left out. Live streams showed reactions from every corner of the globe, children drawing pictures, fans holding handmade banners, and thousands lighting candles in solidarity. It became clear that this wedding was not just a private celebration, it was a global event, uniting people across cultures and borders through the power of love. As the evening progressed, Boat and Oat moved through the crowd, shaking hands, embracing friends, and pausing to speak with fans who had traveled thousands of miles to be part of their special day. Every interaction radiated warmth and gratitude, as if the couple wanted to personally thank each person who had supported their journey. Finally, as the night drew toward a close, a massive fireworks display began. Colors burst across the night sky in perfect synchronization with a live orchestra performing their favorite song. Boat and Oat stood hand in hand on a balcony overlooking the scene, their faces illuminated by the glow of the fireworks and the smiles of everyone below. "I can't believe this is real," Oat whispered. "It's more than real," Boat replied, holding him close. "It's forever." The reception continued late into the night, but one thing was clear: the wedding was more than a union of 2 hearts, it was a testament to love, endurance, and the unbreakable bond that had captured the world's heart. The celebration that followed the ceremony was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It wasn't just a wedding reception, it was a grand spectacle of love, art, culture, and emotion, carefully woven together to honor a bond that millions had watched grow. The doors to the reception hall opened, and guests gasped in unison. The space had been transformed into a dreamlike paradise, with thousands of white orchids cascading from the ceiling, golden lanterns floating above, and shimmering crystals reflecting light in every direction. The atmosphere felt enchanted, as though one had stepped into a world designed not by human hands, but by love itself. At the entrance, Boat and Oat stood together, holding hands tightly. They exchanged a quick glance, the kind of look that carried 1,000 unspoken promises. When they finally stepped forward into the hall, the entire room rose to its feet. Applause thundered, Cheers filled the air, and the ovation seemed endless. Many guests were already wiping tears from their eyes. As they made their way to the center of the room, the music shifted. A live orchestra began playing a soft melody, joined by a choir that filled the space with voices so angelic that some described it as a sound that touched the soul. Boat extended his hand toward Oat, and together they stepped onto the dance floor for their first dance as newlyweds. The moment was spellbinding. Every step they took was in perfect rhythm, every turn executed with a grace that felt almost otherworldly. Yet it wasn't choreography that moved the audience to tears, it was the emotion in their eyes, the way they held onto one another as if they were the only two people in the world. Cameras captured the dance, and within minutes, clips were being shared online with captions like "The dance that stopped time" and "True love, alive before our eyes." When the dance ended, the applause was deafening. Boat pressed a kiss to Oat's forehead, and the room erupted in cheers. Guests pounded their tables, clapped until their hands ached, and shouted words of love and support. The reception then transitioned into a series of heartfelt speeches. A close family member stood first, voice trembling as they recalled the couple's early days, how Boat and Oat had once been shy about their bond, how they had faced challenges that would have broken others, and how they had always chosen love over fear. Tonight, the family member said through tears, "We do not just celebrate a marriage. We celebrate courage, faith, and the power of two souls who refuse to give up on each other." One by one, friends, colleagues, and loved ones rose to speak. Some made the audience laugh with light-hearted stories of the couple's quirks, while others delivered emotional tributes that left entire tables sobbing openly. Each speech painted another brushstroke in the portrait of a love story that had already become legend. But the surprises were far from over. Midway through the evening, the lights dimmed, and a spotlight illuminated the stage. A group of performers entered: dancers, singers, and musicians ready to deliver a performance crafted specifically for Boat and Oat. What unfolded was a theatrical retelling of their love story, told through movement, music, and visuals. The performance began with two young actors symbolizing Boat and Oat as children, playful and curious, discovering each other's presence in a world that often seemed cold. The music swelled as scenes shifted to show struggles, heartbreak, and challenges, the kind of trials that had once threatened to tear them apart. At the climax, the performers united in a breathtaking embrace, symbolizing Boat and Oat's triumph over adversity, their decision to love boldly, and their journey toward this very day. The finale of the performance brought every guest to their feet. Confetti cannons fired, petals rained from above, and the words "Forever Begins Today" appeared in shimmering gold lights across the backdrop. Oat covered his mouth in shock, tears streaming down his cheeks, while Boat applauded with eyes glistening, visibly moved beyond words. Dinner was served, a curated menu representing not just luxury but meaning. Every dish symbolized a chapter of their journey: sweet flavors for their playful beginnings, fiery spices for the trials they overcame, and delicate desserts to represent the sweetness of their enduring love. Guests marveled not only at the flavors but at the thoughtfulness behind every plate. Throughout the meal, large screens displayed live feeds of fans from around the world, public gatherings in parks, city squares, and even small villages where communities had come together to watch the wedding. In one clip from New York's Times Square, thousands of fans stood shoulder to shoulder, waving banners and crying as they watched the reception live. In Tokyo, a crowd of fans released glowing lanterns into the night sky, each one carrying a message for Boat and Oat. In Brazil, a choir of fans sang in unison, their voices echoing across a crowded beach illuminated by candles. These live moments were woven into the reception like a global embrace. Guests inside the hall gasped and applauded as they saw the magnitude of the love pouring in from every corner of the earth. Boat leaned toward Oat and whispered, "Look at this. It's bigger than us. It's the world." As the night drew closer to its peak, the couple prepared for their cake-cutting ceremony. But of course, it was no ordinary cake. Towering over 10 feet tall, adorned with intricate sugar flowers and gold details, the cake was a masterpiece that seemed almost too beautiful to touch. When Boat and Oat placed their hands together on the knife and cut the first slice, the room erupted in cheers. They fed one another with laughter and tenderness, smudging frosting on each other's cheeks before sharing a kiss that sent the room into joyful chaos. Then came the fireworks. Guests were led outside to a grand balcony overlooking the city. As the orchestra began to play once more, the night sky exploded in brilliant colors, fireworks forming shapes of hearts, stars, and even the initials B Black Heart O. The finale came with golden sparks spelling out "Forever" high above, illuminating the sky as the crowd gasped and clapped in awe. Boat and Oat stood together on the balcony, arms wrapped around each other tightly, faces lit by the glow of fireworks. Oat rested his head on Boat's shoulder, whispering softly, "I've never been this happy in my life." Boat kissed his temple and replied, "And you'll never stop being this happy. This is just the beginning." Behind them, the world celebrated. Before them, the future glowed. And around them, love itself seemed to fill the air, making the wedding not just an event, but a moment in history. The party's lights dimmed, the last song faded, and the applause from the night still hummed like warm electricity in their bones, but the real magic happened after the crowds thinned, when Boat and Oat slipped away from the chandeliers and confetti and stepped into a pocket of silence that belonged only to them. They retreated to a small, private terrace just off the reception hall, where a single lantern swung in a gentle breeze and the city below glowed like a scattering of promises. The staff had left a narrow table for two, a plate of late-night pastries, 2 glasses of honeyed tea, and a tiny music player cued to their favorite song. There were no cameras, no microphones, no trending hashtags, only the soft sound of their breaths and the distant echo of laughter from the after-parties. Boat took Oat's hand like he'd never let go before. He brushed a crumb from Oat's lip with exaggerated tenderness, and Oat laughed, that small, delighted sound that had once been a salve for both their sorrows and joys. They ate slowly, speaking in half-formed sentences and memories, the first stupid joke they'd shared, the rainy night that changed everything, the way both of them had learned to breathe through pain and joy together. "You looked like a movie tonight," Oat whispered, eyes bright even in the dim light. "You always do," Boat murmured. "Tonight was for everyone, but this moment, this is just ours." A soft knock interrupted them. Their closest friends, the ones who had known them before the headlines, before the hospital rooms, before every stage and streaming platform, slipped onto the terrace with warm blankets and a battered guitar. What followed was not a staged performance but a living room jam, 3-voice harmonies, off-key choruses, old campfire songs that everyone remembered wrong and loved anyway. They passed around stories instead of microphones, the time Boat tried to fix a broken light and flooded an entire loft, the time Oat stayed up all night learning to make Boat's favorite soup. Laughter mixed with tears, the kind of laughter that's an offering to the universe, "Thank you for this, please let it last." A surprise arrived not from the stage or a celebrity roster, but from the couple's own friends, a short film. Someone had quietly compiled clips from the last decade, shaky phone footage, backstage hugs, moments in hospital corridors when they held each other through feverish nights, edited into a 5-minute heartbeat of a film. They watched it on a tiny projector against the terrace wall, and in the glow of those stolen images, Boat and Oat kissed as if the world might forget how to love if they didn't remind it. Word spread that there had been secret performances. A musician who'd sung earlier slipped away to the terrace and played an unamplified acoustic song for them, fingers trembling over strings, voice catching on the same syllables that had once held them together during darker times. The rawness of that private serenade made even the friendliest of the entourage fall silent. There was nothing to document, only to witness. When the night finally loosened its hold and the newlyweds retreated to their suite, the staff left one final surprise, a handwritten book. It contained thousands of messages from fans, paper prayers, watercolor hearts, typed confessions of how Boat and Oat had saved people from their loneliest nights. They opened it together, reading aloud in the soft glow of bedside lamps. Some notes made them laugh, others made them fall asleep with fingers still tracing the margins, fingers sticky with tears and cake frosting. Outside the gilded walls, the world continued to reverberate. Fans who had watched the live streams did not simply turn off their devices and return to normal life. Instead, the wedding created ripples that became waves, small, private vigils in local parks, fan art posted in city squares, dancers in community centers recreating the couple's first dance in interpretive pieces. People tattooed tiny symbols, a shared lyric, a pair of initials, on wrists, ankles, backs. In cafes, strangers clutched their phones showing the same clip and started conversations they might never have otherwise had. The next morning, Social platforms were full of slow-motion clips and whispered commentary. But beyond the virality, there emerged unexpected, tender phenomena. Fans organized charity drives inspired by the couple's vow to help others. Neighborhood groups volunteered at rehabilitation centers, students designed scholarship funds, small communities pooled resources to renovate local clinics. The phrase "Stand Tall" began appearing on handmade banners in markets and on homemade cookies sold for charity. People who had been moved by the intimate moments of the wedding, the terrace jam, the secret film, the handwritten book, began to recreate that intimacy in their own lives, starting neighborhood concerts, community kitchens, and support groups. Celebrities who had attended the wedding posted quiet, unpolished messages, short videos of them singing the couple's chosen hymn softly in their own kitchens, candid photos of them holding a fan-made banner outside the hospital where Boat and Oat had once spent lonely nights. The mainstream news cycle, which usually loves spectacle, instead lingered on the smallness, the notes, the bedside promises, the way that private tenderness had become a public balm. A few weeks later, independent filmmakers and podcasters arrived with tender offers. Could they interview Boat and Oat for a documentary? Could they produce a short film about the quiet aftercare that follows big events, the way healing looks in the small places? Boat and Oat agreed, but with a condition: the film must show more than the peak. It would show laundry done at 2 a.m., the medical appointments no one sees, the laughter that starts again after a long, exhausted day. They wanted the lens to hold the mundanity as sacred. That documentary, shot like a love letter, premiered in small festivals and online forums. It showed moments that went viral in a new way. A clip of Boat braiding Oat's hair in the hospital room went from raw home video to a movement. People posted their own versions, braiding a loved one's hair for the camera, leaving it unedited, imperfect, beautiful. Online challenges were born not from spectacle but from care. Do something small for someone. Threads that lit up with tiny acts: making tea, reading aloud, driving someone to an appointment. Months after the wedding, fan communities continued to surprise. In one coastal town, a group organized an ocean cleanup and called it a walk for Oat, because though Oat could not walk, the collective movement of so many feet created an image of walking in spirit. Another group started a Notes for the Lonely campaign, leaving little handwritten cards in library books and on bus seats with messages of solidarity inspired by the couple's handwritten book. Merchandise sprouted, but it wasn't the bright, consumer-driven stuff you might expect. Artists crafted delicate pins that read "We Are Forever," knitters created scarves with coded patterns representing the couple's journey, and community theaters staged small plays based on scenes from the wedding. None of it was forced, it felt like offerings. Intimacy continued to define Boat and Oat's public interactions. Rather than a flurry of staged appearances, they chose meaningful rituals, visiting hospitals and staying longer than the cameras required, hosting closed-door sessions for newlyweds who faced difficult Thanks.